Welcome everyone to our yin class. My name is Tammy. Our yin class is for the lower body. Coming back to our mat, we'll begin our class in child's pose. Turning so that we face the front. Now, being that it's for our lower body, we're going to open up through the hips and moving into the spine for this pose too. So we turn our knees out to the side, uncurl the toes. And here's a really good pose for us to feel grounded too, because your forehead's going down towards the floor. And breathe. So, and also if you're pregnant, we're going to let our belly fold forward, and you can do this pose on a chair. So with a nice inhale breath, we lift. And an exhale breath, fold forward. Your arms may come forward and the forehead rests on your mat. Rest onto your hands too. This is a nice compression in through the front of our body. We let our hips expand, open with our breath. Inhale, opening. Exhale, releasing into the ground. Notice your breath. Is it an even breath right now? You may be still starting to, or catching your breath here. So as our class progresses, we'll talk about our breath again being even, so you can check in. But continue to breathe the Ujjayi breath. The Ujjayi breath in yin, it's not as forceful, but breathing in and out through the nose, opening up through any areas of tension with the inhale breath, exhale breath, letting your body release. Checking in with your knees in this pose too. You can always do it seated if it does not work for your knees. You can lie on your back and bring your knees into the chest too. We're here for 45 more seconds. Our last 15 seconds brings us up and then back to all fours. And then from all fours, we'll lie down onto the front of our body. And I'll show you another version of this too. So you can lie down on the front of your body. This is for half frog. Draw the right knee up. Again, letting the forehead rest. You can let the forehead rest onto the backs of your hands. and you can hold right there. Now, if this pose does not work for you, you can roll over to your back. You can turn your knee out to the side like this. You can also sit up and tuck your foot in towards, right foot in towards the inner thigh, and you can add a little fold forward. So finding what is going to work for you for this pose. So half frog, and we breathe. Nice compression into the front of our body, massaging your internal organs, feeling the rise and the fall of your breath. We make our way out of half frog, and we take the right leg back down and lift your left knee up towards the hip. If you're in a seated version of this pose, you would tuck your left foot in towards right leg, where you're lying on your back, and taking the left knee out to the side. Again, letting the forehead rest onto the back of the hands. And breathe. Opening into the hip. Two more cycles of breath. Coming out of half frog, we make our way back. Everyone can come to all fours and sitting down onto your bottom. Our next pose is shoelace. We'll have a pillow handy here and into shoelace, crossing your right leg over top of the left leg. So this is shoelace when your knees are stacked on top of each other. A version would be left leg straight, right ankle crossing over, just over top of the left leg, and place your pillow underneath the knee, and you can hold here. You can add a forward fold. Notice if this works for your knee. If it doesn't, you can place, if your left leg straight, you can place a little blanket underneath of the left knee too for support. Finding what is going to work for you. You may add the fold, little fold forward. And how are your hips? This is a really great pose for stretching out through our pelvis, hips. Are you able to let your shoulders relax away from your ears? Forty-five more seconds. Okay, last 15 seconds. Coming out of shoelace. Take your hands behind. You can take the legs in front and windshield wiper knee side to side. Feet wider than the hips. To the other side. This time, our left leg goes over top of the right. So tuck the right leg under, left leg goes over top, and the goal is to have our knees stacked on top of each other here. And we can hold. Now the version would be right leg straight, left ankle crossed over top. You can add a little forward fold. You can place a pillow underneath of the left knee. Also, a little rolled up blanket underneath of the right leg, right knee, I should say. Okay, finding what you would like to do for yourself. with the forward fold. Adds a deeper stretch into the pelvis. Feel this into the outside of your pelvis, to the hips. Are you able to let yourself sink a little bit deeper into this pose with the exhale breath? Exhale breath being longer than the inhale breath. Be counting out the breath, inhaling for 4 counts, exhaling for 6 counts, or even going longer than that. You can go up to 6 counts inhaling and then 8 counts exhaling. Finding what's going to work for you. Coming out of shoelace, making your way up, and uncrossing the legs. Legs coming forward, feet wider than the hips, and then hands behind. Again, windshield wiper, side to side. Our next pose is dragonfly. We take our legs into a V. Now here with dragonfly, I like to fold forward and be lying on something. So you can take pillows and you can even stack them on top of each other and fold forward. And then you have that support. So it'll be nice and high and then fold forward like this. And again, letting the forehead rest. So tuck your pillows into your groin. You add the fold forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Let the forehead rest down towards the ground. Remember, using whatever you would like. See if you can get the forehead down to lie onto maybe your hands, your pillow, your block. Turn to your breath. Stretching into the inner thighs, Breathe into those areas that are tighter. Could be into your back also, lower back. And breathe and open. Coming to the end of our pose, we make our way back up. This was a really nice class to do throughout the day for some of the poses that you could do it to get things moving through your body. So after you've eaten a meal, maybe you don't feel, maybe you have a little bit of indigestion or anything like that, you can do these nice compressions and start to open up through the pelvis and get things moving through your body. Coming to all fours, and then into downward facing dog. We'll hold downward facing dog for about a minute. If downward facing dog does not work for your wrists, you can come to all fours. You can come to child's pose, lie on the side of your body. So if you come into downward facing dog with me, step forward with the right hand, left hand, and into a V, draw the pelvis up towards the sky. And we stretch out through the hamstrings. You can also do this seated, with legs straight out and fold over top of your legs, so caterpillar. Gripping the mat with your finger pads. Coming out of downward facing dog. All fours, and then taking the left leg forward, the right leg will come behind into deer pose. So right leg behind, left leg in front. And hold here. You can do a pelvic tilt and hold. You can fold over top of the left leg. Let the head hang. So feeling this stretch onto the outside of the left hip. Into the hip flexors for the right side. Continue to do the pelvic tilt through the right side of the hip. Let your exhale breath help you to settle into the pose a little bit more. If you need to shift, please do. If you need to come out of the pose and then come back into the pose, please do. And now coming out of deer, if you added the forward fold and slowly start to lift, walking back, releasing the pelvic tilt, and then take the right leg in front, left leg comes behind. Add the pelvic tilt, left side. You can be upright or you can have the fold forward. Now into the right side of our hip. Hip flexors, left side. So continue with the pelvic tilt. Adjust where you see fit. Our breath guides us. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, breath, the closing, the release. The exhale, getting rid of everything that doesn't serve you. Here we can check back in to see if we have come to an even breath. We are more than, just a little bit more than halfway through our class. So it's a good time to check in. Trusting your breath to know that it can help you to release, to guide you into letting go. Now we can start to make our way back up. Taking both legs in front, we make our way to butterfly. And this time, I'll use my pillows. So you can use your pillows too, placing them underneath of the knees. You can use blocks. With your bottom feet together, take your knees out to the sides. And just adjust to where you see fit. On your sits bones, and when we sit up and folding forward, your arms may come forward. Turn your palms up to the sky. This big fold forward. Notice also your back. So here with the stretch into the inner thighs and your hips, notice your back too. Breathing into any areas that are tension, that have that tension. Think of expanding, opening up through back, just like your hips. And the out of butterfly, we slowly walk our hands back. Next pose, sleeping swan. You'll notice similarities with sleeping swan from the other couple of last poses that we did with the turning out of the knees. I'm going to show you a version for sleeping swan too. But having your pillow handy for the right side to rest the hip, we come to all fours, back to downward facing dog. So step forward, right hand, left hand, downward facing dog. Three-legged dog, we take the right leg up, bend through the knee and turn the knee out the right wrist. Place the pillow underneath the right hip. You can be upright for swan or adding the fold forward for sleeping swan. Again, letting the forehead rest. My toes are down, the left toes are down towards the ground right now. If I uncurl my toes, it'll help me to release maybe my hips a little bit more into the ground. Now a version of sleeping swan would be lying on your back. I'm going to do the upright one first here. So this is back eye of the needle. You cross your right ankle over the left knee, pull forward, pull your heel back to you, and lift. The other one is on your back, crossing your ankle again, over the left knee, and threading the needle. You can have your foot down towards the ground too. Okay. Kind of what you like to do, of course, and then we come into our stillness and breathe. Now, whichever variation that you are doing of the pose, it is still stretching into the right side of our hip. We're still all breathing. Remember, you can readjust if you need to, and then come back into stillness. If you are in sleeping swan, Notice if you're sitting down into the right side of the hip. Continue to square the hips. We're coming out of sleeping swan, nice and slow. If you are upright or lying on your back, you can switch sides here. And then a variation, another pose would be folded swan, a variation of sleeping swan that you're bringing, taking your left hand, wrapping around your left foot and then pulling. We'll do that another day. Have to make sure your hamstrings are nice and loose for that one. We didn't do as many stretches into the hamstrings yet. Okay, so the other side, we switch our pillow over to the left side. So for swan again, all fours and then downward facing dog. Left leg lifts, bend to the knee, turn the knee out, left wrist. Place your pillow underneath the left hip. You can add the fold forward for sleeping swan or your upright. You can uncurl the right toes so your foot is resting. Are you able to release a little bit deeper into the left side of the hip? Use your breath. Now coming out of sleeping swan, you may make your way back to downward facing dog or all fours. And then all fours now. And come to child's pose. Just a little counter pose here. And make your way up. We have caterpillar. And this is with both of our legs straight. Remove the fleshy part from your bottom. You can stack your pillows up. You can also use bolster. I'm going to use my bolster, but I just want to show you this way here. So you can stack those pillows up on top of each other and then fold forward. So we're getting stretch into our hamstrings and having a blanket underneath of the knees, so into your knee pits too, so they're not being pushed down to the ground. If you find that it's not working for your knees, that could be helpful. You can also lie on your back and bring your legs up and place them against a wall for legs up the wall. It is always a good one to do. Again, letting the forehead rest where you see fit. So it could be into the palms of the hands. This, that's your hands. And how are the hamstrings starting to release? Let's do one more cycle of breath, inhaling and exhaling. And then making our way back up. For our final pose, Shavasana. You can bend through the knees. You can roll over to your back and lie on the floor. You can have your knees bent or your legs straight. You can also make an incline And then lie down like this too. Blanket placed over top of your body, always nice to do, keeping you warm. Now we're finding stillness for ourselves. Our breath settle. Natural breath.